You won't learn! You don't won't learn!
What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ, the Tar Heel. And in this episode, unfortunately, what we got to talk about the number 20 North Carolina Tar Heels dropping a 31-20 game against the Clemson Tigers in Death Valley. And let me just say this first. The kids played hard, right? The things that we've seen in the previous couple of weeks, we could obviously question that a couple of times. Like, man, where's you guys' passion and grit and pride? And these kids went into Death Valley and they played hard. And let me also say this. North Carolina belonged on that field. And at the beginning of the game, you would have thought that they were the better team. They squandered a lot of opportunities to extend the lead that they had, the 7-0 lead that they had. Drake may go 16 for 36, 209 yards, a touchdown, and 1 interception. Probably one of his worst statistic games in the year. I don't think I've ever remembered Drake having a below 50% completion percentage. But if you were to tell me before this game that Omarion Hampton would have 19 carries for 178 yards and 2 touchdowns, I would tell you, how much did we beat Clemson by? 19 carries, 178 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And here's the thing. O had his first 2 fumbles of the entire season. The first one was at the 7-yard line, the opening drive of the game. Carolina could have been up 7-0. Clemson recovers, they punt. Guess what Carolina does? They go down the field and they score. Well, then Clemson they get the ball back, they punt again. What does Carolina do? O goes the length of the field, 64 yards, and right before he gets to the pylon on the right side, Wiggins walks him down and punches it out. Right before the pylon, and it trickles out of the end zone, being a touchback for Clemson. Right there, you got 21 points in the first quarter, right there. Carolina was throwing the ball. Carolina was running the ball. They were doing whatever they stinking wanted against the Clemson Tigers in Death Valley. And the defense was playing well. And so I'm going to start off by saying North Carolina beat North Carolina. Because if those things don't happen, Carolina's up really big. And I like our chances. I mean, we dominated the first quarter. And then Carolina just shot themselves in the foot time and time again. And you know what? Eventually it's going to come back and bite your butt. So after Carolina, and there was a couple more times throughout the game where obviously they made some mistakes that were self-inflicted. Clemson ends up scoring at 7-7, and another just huge monumental play. And before I say this, all these people that'll be like, Russ, I can't believe you're talking about the refs and everything. You know what? Every once in a while, there are plays that significantly impact the outcome of games. Period. Referees do have that ability. You can be as tough as you want. You can be as sound as you want. If a referee makes a bad call, okay, it can be a game-changing type call. And there was very few back-to-back calls that were more pivotal in that football game. Then in the second quarter, Carolina should have already been up big. Klubnik makes an absolutely terrible read at about the 25, 30-yard line, just tosses one up as Ced Gray is bearing down on him. Ced Gray makes a stinking play trying to bat the football down and just ever so slightly touches Cade Klubnik's stinking helmet, and they threw a flag. Why is that a big deal, Russ? Because he threw it up like a 7-year-old, and Giovanni Biggers comes down with the interception, which is going to take stinking points off the board. So the flag negates the turnover, which was clearly an atrocious read by Klubnik, and he gets bailed out by a horrific call. I mean, Ced Gray's making a play for the football, guys. So, whatever you want to say about quarterbacks getting struck in the helmet, he's making a play for the ball. He's making a football play. There was nothing egregious about what happened. The only thing egregious about that play was that the turnover was negated and Clemson was able to keep the football. If you don't think that's stinking huge, you are out of your stinking mind, because then later on, Klubnik takes it upfield and he is clearly, as I look at it again, clearly short of the goal line as time is expiring, but it's a touchdown on the field. And they go and review it, and of course the play stands as called because there's not enough to overturn it. And you say, well, obviously that he must have got the goal to gain. He must have got to the goal line if they said that the call stands. No, buddy, he bounced into the stinking end zone. He was marked short, and he shouldn't have been there in the first place because it should have been Carolina football after Klubnik threw the interception. Those are two huge plays. You take a turnover away from the defense, and then you also give them 7 points to go into the half, 14-7 lead, and they get the football coming out of the half. How about the holding call on Clemson that's negated by the phantom horse collar tackle on Klubnik, moving out to the right side in the third quarter? How about Tez Walker getting absolutely battered by Wiggins? It's just one-on-one man coverage. Drake throws a stinking dime, and Wiggins is just like tackling him to the ground, spinning him around to where he can't get back to the football. And there is a zebra right in front of him, and he just says incomplete pass. This is more than just two guys battling. This is somebody negating the receiver's ability to make a play on the football. A well-thrown football, if I might add. So these are huge plays. These are huge plays, huge no calls against North Carolina, and then huge calls against North Carolina. I mean, they were just monster calls, man, that really swayed momentum. And they played a pivotal role in Clemson's remainder of the game. They did, man. They did. And I know all the Clemson Tigers fans will come in here and they'll say, oh, you're making excuses. You know what, buddy? If you took your stinking Clemson Tiger fan glasses off just for a second, if this would have happened on the other end, you would be screaming bloody murder. Now, I will say this. Is Clemson a good football team? You daggone right they are. Okay? They are. And people are saying that this Clemson team is down. Is this the Clemson of 2016, 2017, 2018? No, it's not. Okay? But it's a really, really good Clemson team. They should not have 4 losses. We'll put it that way. They shouldn't have 4 losses. It's a better team than that. And it's in Death Valley. And like I said, the Heels played tough. And they played, especially in the first half, well enough to win. But when things keep going against you, and sometimes they're things that you can't stinking control, i.e., just really crappy ACC officiating once again, that'll weigh on anybody. That will weigh on anybody. And I still applaud the kids because they played until the stinking end. And you know what? That bodes well going into the Wolfsack game. It really does, because it shows us that we can be physical. Carolina was physical tonight. They were. They were physical. They were just on the field for a long time. The time of possession was like 38 minutes for Clemson. It was 38 and some change. Carolina had the ball for like 21 minutes, man. And that is going to wear down a defense, especially when you're talking about going against Phil Maffa, 230-pound back, and then you're trying to stinking catch, Will Shipley, who he really turned it up at the end of the game. Team stats. North Carolina Tar Heels finished the game with 457 yards of total offense to 466 for the Clemson Tigers. Carolina had 3 turnovers. Clemson had 2. Carolina had 19 first downs. Clemson had 25. And like I said, 38-22 time of possession advantage. Defense was on the field for a long time tonight, but they played stinking hard. So this one doesn't feel the same as Georgia Tech or Virginia. those were disgusting losses. I picked this game as a loss at the beginning of the year. And I also picked it before this week. And a lot of that was attributed to, Carolina's effort, if you will, the previous month, 4 games, ever since the fourth quarter of the Miami game. And Carolina played hard, man. They shot themselves in the foot, and then they had a couple of other variables that they just can't control. And they did significantly impact the game. But a microcosm of Carolina's season also comes into, Carolina scores that touchdown in the fourth. It's 31-20. And then for whatever reason, Sparky Woods is telling Mac that, hey, we're going to go for 2. When you're down 11, even if you get a 2-point conversion, it's 31-22, you're still down by 9, which is a 2-possession game. And not only did you, for no really good reason, go for 2, you had to burn a timeout with 7 minutes left. Which obviously, if you're down 2 possessions, every second and every timeout is precious. And you burned it, and then you didn't even convert it. And, games like this, where Carolina obviously is supposed to be on this field, and obviously Carolina has the athletes and the football players to compete and even win in an environment like this against a team like this, the question really does start to have to be asked. Has Mac taken us to his ceiling? Not Carolina's ceiling, but in Mac 2.0, have we seen the ceiling of Mac? Now, I love Mac. I really do. But I just thought that I would posit the question. I thought that I would posit the question as the season starts to come to its conclusion. So just something to think about going into this last week as we head up to Raleigh to play Moo U. They beat Virginia Tech tonight. And Brennan Armstrong, he's going to be under center. And, he's been a stinking pain in our butt. And it would be nothing sweeter than to go up in Raleigh and play with the same physicality, minus the mistakes that we made against ourselves here in Death Valley tonight. We'll see, man. We'll see. It was good to see the boys play hard, even though they didn't come out with the W. So North Carolina drops it 31-20. North Carolina moves to 8-3, 4-3 in the Atlantic Coast Conference. And obviously they were eliminated before the game when Louisville beat Miami from ACC championship game contention. So that's not what we're playing for. Now we're playing for pride. We got the Wolf Sack ahead. And then we got our bowl game. And since Mac has been back, we're 1-3. So we need to beat NC State, and we need to win our bowl game. That should be what we focus on. It's time to really hone in. There's no more what ifs. There's no more, well, if this team beats this team and, that team beats that team. No, it's none of that. It's state and bowl game. And we need to stinking win them both. So if you haven't already, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to the content. I really appreciate Elijah became a member of the Huddle Hooligans today, man, so I appreciate your support, brother. It means a ton to me, which brings our grand total to 6. It was good to see Scott in there, King Peebles. It was good to see Preston came a little bit late, man. It was good to see my man Carlton, of course. This is what it's about, bro. We go through the highs and the lows together. And we went through some highs. We saw some great plays, some great touchdowns, especially early. We saw some great defensive stops, especially early. And then we sat there and we got through the fourth quarter together as we slowly realized that once again, Carolina was going to meet their demise and we were going to drop another game. So I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out, man. I appreciate all the patience. We had to stinking restart the live stream like 3 times again. So I appreciate you guys hanging out, man, and I appreciate all the loyalty, man. Like I said, Heels lose it. They played hard, but what can you say, man? What can you say? We're on to Moo U, baby. Go Heels. Great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll catch you on the next one, baby.
I'm a Tar Heel!